All right, so you're thinking about moving to the Pensacola area and you're wondering if you could see yourself possibly living in the Beulah area. Well, if that's you, then you need to sit back, relax, and enjoy this video, because in this video, I'm going to explain to you what the Beulah area is all about. And specifically, we're going to talk about the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how, as all of these questions pertain to the Beulah area. So if you're not 1000% familiar with what the Beulah area is, where it is, when you should move there, why you should move there, or how it's any different from any other area here in Pensacola, well, I highly recommend that you watch this video. After you get done watching this video, I think that you should have a pretty solid understanding of what the spirit and, kind of the essence of what the Beulah area is all about. We're gonna go over where Beulah has been, where it is today, and where I think the area is headed into the future. My name is Robert Wilson. I am a licensed real estate agent here in the Pensacola area, brokered by eXp Realty. And so if you think that you might be able to see yourself living in the Beulah area and you want to do some house hunting out there, well, hit me up. I would love to help you do that. All of my contact information can be found in the comments section below, as well as in the description box below this video. So all that being said, thank you for stopping by the channel. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so Beulah is an unincorporated community located on the western side of Escambia County. It's located about 10 miles northwest of the city of Pensacola. So Beulah is a relatively rural area, and it has a pretty rich history that dates all the way back to the early 19th century. Some of the property types out there are going to be a mixture of residential and agricultural property types. And some of the original homesteads and farms are actually still in operation today, nearly 200 years later. And I will say one of the notable landmarks in the Beulah area is going to be the Escambia County Equestrian Center, located in the heart of the community. The center features a large covered arena and several open air outdoor arenas. The center hosts a variety of equine events and many other types of activities all throughout the year. Beulah is also home to several other nature preserves and outdoor parks, such as the Perdido River Wildlife Management Area, which feature many different types of trails, such as hiking trails and horseback trails, as well as fishing and a limited amount of hunting opportunities. So overall, based on that description right there, you can kind of tell that Beulah is more of a laid-back, scenic, quiet, kind of a country lifestyle, but just being 10 miles outside of the city of Pensacola, you're still within arm's reach of all of the amenities that the city of Pensacola offers. Okay, so we just covered the what and the where of Beulah. Now let's talk about the why. Why would anyone want to live in Beulah? Well, the three main reasons that pop off the top of my mind are going to be semi-rural lifestyle, affordability, and growth. Okay, so as I just mentioned, Beulah has the Equestrian Center out there. They have the Perdido River Wildlife Management Association. So you can already kind of tell that, Beulah is going to have that kind of sort of a country laid-back lifestyle. Now, as far as affordability goes, let's talk about this. So as far as affordability goes, Beulah is really second to none as far as all of the niche areas located within the general Pensacola area as a whole. And I've mentioned plenty of times on my other videos that I think that you can get a really, really nice and downtown Pensacola quality home at a really, really great price out in Beulah. I mean, I'm talking like you can get a really nice home, like something that you would see here in downtown Pensacola, at a fraction of the price. Now let's talk about the opportunity for growth. So Beulah didn't really get jump started until over the last 5 to 10 years. Navy Federal added a really, really nice campus out there in the Beulah area, and that kind of started to jumpstart things. So with the addition of Navy Federal being out there, and really just the amount of people that have been moving to Florida over the past 5 years, Beulah has been a really great option for these folks who are working at Navy Federal or just moving to the northwestern side of Florida in general, because of the low cost of living out there. I mean, housing out there in the Beulah area, like I mentioned just a minute ago, is really second to none. So if you're someone who is craving new construction, Beulah is a great area. So the best is yet to come for Beulah. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, a lot of the property types out there are going to be a mixture of residential and agricultural properties. And a lot of these agricultural properties are still in use today and still functional and operational, but some of them they're not, or they never really were. They're just land. Okay, now given the fact that you have just raw land out there in Beulah, that's gonna be really attractive to developers because developers can come in there, they can clear the land out and have a blank canvas to work with when designing and developing their project. Okay, so all that being said, you can see how Beulah is just kind of sprouting up from the ground. Now, a lot of folks who are thinking about moving to the Pensacola area, they know about that. And they know that the best is yet to come to Beulah. So if they can get in early and buy a really nice home for a great price, and they know that the Beulah area is only going to get continually developed over the next years, I wonder if I buy my house today for $300K, I wonder what the value is going to be 10 years down the road once Beulah is fully developed. Which is going to lead me to my next question for this video. When should you move to the Beulah area? Well, that all just kind of depends on who you are. If you're the type of person who enjoys the laid back lifestyle of living out in the country, I would go ahead and move now. Because like I said, if you go ahead and get in early, your property value is more than likely going to increase exponentially over the next 10 to 20 years. But if you're the type of person who really likes to live near shopping centers, hospitals, schools, I wouldn't necessarily go ahead and make that move out to Beulah just yet. I would maybe wait a little while until it's fully developed. Now the good news is that Escambia County just sold a 500+ acre parcel of land to be developed, which will bring in more growth to the Beulah area. The name of this land, or this project, so to speak, is OLF 8. Okay, so this is gonna be the quickest history recap of OLF 8. OLF 8 is a 630 acre county-owned parcel of land located right next to Navy Federal, right off of West 9 Mile Road. Now, the land has not always been owned by Escambia County. Before it was owned by Escambia County, it was owned by the Navy, and it didn't swap ownership until 2019. And the deal that was worked in order to swap ownership from the Navy to Escambia County went something like this. Okay, Escambia County bought a large parcel of land in northern Santa Rosa County, which the Navy had already identified as a potential training center in the future. So Escambia County becomes owner of that particular piece of land. The Navy owns this land out there in Beulah, which is, the Beulah area is rapidly becoming a more residential area versus an agricultural area. So the Navy's sitting there thinking like, okay, well, this area that we own this land in isn't really going in the direction that would gel and mesh well with what we have planned for this piece of land. So, we don't really want to pursue this, okay? But Escambia County, they do have that one over there in Santa Rosa, so hey, let's work a deal. And that's essentially what happened without going into all the finer details. Okay, so long story short, Escambia County owns a 500+ acre parcel of land that is just prime for development. So in 2019, they started courting different developers and they hired a design company to come up with 4 different master plans that could potentially work well for the piece of land. The Escambia County leaders eventually selected one of those 4 plans to go with, and of course there were design changes along the way, but they eventually decided on a plan that they wanted to be developed out there on that particular piece of land, the OLF 8 land. Then they started courting developers to come in and bid on the project and bring the plan into reality. The developer that was selected was D.R. Horton, which is going to be a segue into my next question, which is who is driving growth in Beulah? It could be a mixture of who and what, okay? Number one, we have what, which is going to be the OLF 8 development project. And who could be D.R. Horton and the Escambia County leaders, as well as a lot of the people who are moving to Pensacola. And also, to throw another honorable mention into what is driving the growth out in Beulah, well, the growth in Pensacola is driving the growth out in Beulah. Housing in the city of Pensacola has become limited and prices have really gone up over the past 5 to 10 years, especially over the past 2 to 3 years, which makes the affordable housing that's available in Beulah that I mentioned earlier in the video really attractive. And so would-be shoppers or home buyers here in Pensacola have decided to look elsewhere, namely Beulah. The last thing that I want to cover in this video is going to be, how is Beulah any different from, let's just use Pensacola as a measuring stick. Okay, so the best way for me to describe the difference between Beulah and Pensacola is going to be, whenever I think of the city of Pensacola and Pensacola, in general, I think of kayaking and getting out on the water. Smelling the salt being blown in off of the Gulf of Mexico or being blown in off Pensacola Bay. But when I think about Beulah, I think about going hiking on nature trails, getting outdoors, getting some fresh air, smelling the sweet aroma of pine trees. Pensacola does offer you an abundance of nature trails, but I think Pensacola, in my mind, is just a little bit more kind of a salt life and watery type of an atmosphere, whereas Beulah is more of like getting out into the woods, nature, wilderness, and enjoying the fresh air. Also, one of the ways that I think the two areas contrast each other is Pensacola definitely is more of a city type of a vibe, especially here in downtown Pensacola. As you can see, buildings are a lot taller, you're pretty tight with your neighbors, and things just aren't really spread out. But in Beulah, properties aren't really built vertically, they're built more horizontally. Things are a little bit more spread out. It has kind of a suburbs type feel. You have a little bit more elbow room with your neighbor. All right, so that was it. The what, the where, the when, the why, the how, all about Beulah. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I put videos out there like this all of the time explaining what some of the different niche areas are in the greater Pensacola area as a whole. So if you're thinking about moving to the Pensacola area and you're wanting to learn more about the area and which neighborhood or niche area you could see yourself living in, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And when you decide on your favorite neighborhood, go ahead and hit me up. I would love to be your agent and help you make a smooth transition into your new home here in beautiful Pensacola, Florida.